Good morning, guys. We're going to continue in Romans this week. It's Romans 14, 1 through 12. And once again, I challenge you guys to weekly take these scriptures and see what the Lord is speaking to you through these scriptures. Each week there is a unique lesson and reminder that we need to think about in our lives as we carry on in our Christian faith. And this week, we'll start out with Jesus at the Sermon on the Mount. He was challenging us and his listeners then not to judge others. And Paul was using Jesus' teaching in these scriptures and challenging the Romans as they lived in faith to be accepting of others as they walked their walk. So Paul noted in the scriptures that every believer was a servant of God, and us as being a servant, our identity and who we are is based on our master's outlook on us. Who we are is not based on other servants, but we are looking for our master's approval, and all that ties back to our identity and who we are in Christ. So the foundation of Paul's teaching in these scriptures boils down to one thing, and that's ownership. No one that claims to be a child of God lives for themselves or dies for themselves. So we own that, and God owns us once we give our life to him. Once we surrender our lives, we give up control. We belong to the Lord. So the calling that he has on us, the decisions that he has us make, they are his for our lives. And it's tough. It's hard to not get wrapped up into our own desires and our own selfish thinking. So having that, giving that ownership away to the Lord, it's sometimes a tall order to fill. We all like to be in control of our own lives, but I can tell you, when we have that calling that God puts in our lives, and when we follow that obediently, there's no better feeling in our lives to have that happen, to know that we are going out of ourselves and following the direction of God in our lives. So whether the Roman Christians back then were weak or strong, they all had a common element, and that's that they were followers of Christ. What they shared was far more important than what their differences were. They all had accepted Christ in their lives, so they were all on an equal playing field. Believers, we need to understand that we're all on an equal playing field. There's no one above another. So the central truth in these scriptures is following Christ means living in community, and that's living in harmony with other believers, and it requires loving others more than our own preferences, and that goes even to the non-believers, people that we don't get along with sometimes. Putting other people in front of ourselves is what we're called to do as believers, just as Jesus did. So just a quick word this week. I did want to remind you that our new books are in, and we have one more lesson in this study in Romans, and then we'll be moving on to Proverbs and Song of Songs. And if you want one of these books, I will drop one off to you. Just let me know, and we'll see you later.